What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Long Play Listening Party, the show where we go deep on local music, writing, recording, inspiration, gear, and whatever else sounds good to us. I'm Howie Howard from Mr. Furious Records, joined by my co-host, Nate Holt. What's going on, Nate?
What's up, everybody?
Special guest host, return visitor approach, Sean Hunt out of Lawrence. What's going on, Sean?
Hey, bud. How you guys doing?
We're good. And welcome to Carlos Ransom. What's going on, Carlos?
Thanks for having me.
We're going to be listening to an album by Carlos and Isaac Diehl tonight and next week as well. So just briefly, you may know, if you knew Isaac passed away far too young last summer, June 19th. Isaac was a musician in and around Lawrence for almost 20 years and made tons of music in tons of styles with tons of collaborators. And we're just going to listen. Tonight, we're going to listen to one slice. It's a wonderful slice. It's not the whole picture. There's no way to fit the whole picture into one show. And so we're going to get it started. And Carlos, like we talked about, I mean, tell us what you remember, if anything, of how you met Isaac and how you started making music together.
I remember going to Manhattan to pick up Isaac and Nez when they were moving to Lawrence. I went with John Quest, and that was the first time I actually met him, I believe. And I'm pretty sure they played a show out of the Teepee. You remember that, Sean?
Absolutely.
I think that was the first time I saw Archetype perform, and I was like, "Dude, this guy sounds like a white Nas." I was like immediately like, I like this guy a lot, you know.
Yeah.
And then I don't know how we ended up hooking up, just other than like, hey man, I have some beats, you wanna do something, you know? And
I remember how you guys hooked up.
Yeah, I mean, we did like 2 songs for just my instrumental album, and that was the first. Mm-hmm. I put out one in like 03 or earlier than that.
Earlier.
Followed by another one like a year or 2 later. And with you.
Yep. Yep. Well, we were gonna do what became you and Isaac's first project. You had that music, and we were all set to go. And then I struck that deal with Coup d'etat, and they needed me to remix my record and like make a deadline. And then it just ended up pushing what we were trying to do. It just created this weird gap in time. And I remember standing out front of my house having a conversation with you when me, Nez, and Brent Tactic lived in that house right off Naismith. And I gave you a call, and I was like, all this stuff's so weird, and I'm about to go on this tour. I don't know if I'll have time to do it. And you were like, that's fine. But you're like, what do you think if I did it with Isaac? And I go, absolutely. Like, even better than me. You know what I mean? Like, perfect person, you know? And then you guys to the stars, dude.
So Carlos, you were already making beats at the time you met.
Yeah.
You want to tell us how you started making beats, or just how you started making music in whatever form?
When I first moved to Lawrence, like before that, I had never been exposed to seeing live hip hop or been exposed to the only like hip hop I was exposed to was like early 80s, and then later got into punk. And then moved to Lawrence, and then here's like live shows that I'm able to go to, lots of them, and I'm meeting people like that have, you know, the same interests, and we started talking, and I grabbed some turntables and I started really focusing on turntables. And, you know, I was doing shit with those where it was like I was playing with 4 turntables and a mini disc recorder all at once, just making weird shit, you know. And that took me, like, I don't know, the turntablism. I entered some competitions, some battles, and the battle stuff just wasn't for me, and I really wanted to create my own music, and that's what I was trying to do with the turntables, but, you know, like in a different way. I really wanted to be a producer, more so than a turntablist. Yeah. And so I got a PlayStation for my birthday, and I got the MTV music generator. And that's what I started making beats on, because I had nothing else other than just the tables and mini disc recorders. So that's where it all started, and then eventually it led into, I got a computer and started making beats on Acid, and that started it all, really. Eventually started buying gear, but for the most part, until like recently, everything was primarily on a computer.
And don't let him glaze over the fact that dude was killing it on the MTV beat generator. Like, the beats were sick. Like, they were sick. I was just, and it's funny, the 2 artists, like dope artist friends I have, the Lozano and then Carlos, they both were making beats on beat generator. You know what I mean? Like, my friends that are dope visual artists are making these beats on beat generator and are really good at it. Carlos was really good at it. It wasn't like if you heard his beat generator stuff, you wouldn't, probably some of his earlier work, a little more refined, but you wouldn't know that he was making it on that. That's how good his ear was. It's crazy. That's how I met him. I met him, John Quest took me over to his place, and he played me beats off of that, and I was like, what is happening right now? Like, how are you getting that out of that? You know? And he's exactly like he was back then, the most egoless person like you'll ever meet. So he was just kind of like, whatever. And I was just sitting there like, what the hell is going on over here? And he was like, I didn't even realize at the time that he had just got turntables and or had them for a little bit, and he was murdering it. Like, I assumed, this is the first time I probably knew that. I thought you came from Joplin with turntables. I had no idea that when I was meeting you, you were new to that. Yeah. That's sick, dude. That's crazy. But you're a crazy dude. You're crazy, man.
I bought $175 $1,200 off of Craigslist in Kansas City at some dude's apartment.
That's crazy, man. That's
how it started.
That's nuts.
Yeah.
My albums I was making with, I would have like a mini disc recorder that I would start a beat in the music generator sometimes, and I'd have that at one side, and then I would live record, like with the tables, into another mini disc recorder. And then I would take the mini disc out and flip it over to the other one and just record live, like track after track after track.
Yeah, I remember that.
It's like a high-tech version of the old boombox technique.
Pause tape.
Yeah.
I remember that. Carlos is why I got a mini disc player, because he was doing that stuff so dope. I was like, well, hell, I need to get the mini disc. My stuff wasn't that tight though on it.
The mini discs were cool because there was no there was minimal loss in the sound quality, you know.
Yep.
Yeah, I had a mini disc. I mean, I mostly used it to record kind of like live bootlegs of, you know, when we'd go do shows, I would tap off the soundboard and take a recording stuff. I didn't do a lot of like that kind of faux multi-tracking or anything. Well, I only had the one recorder, so, you know.
Yeah.
I did demos and stuff, so yeah, mini disc.
They were great, man. And you could get them to sound like, especially with like hip hop, like the drum aspect of it, you could really get that mini disc to punch, which was which was hard, but you could really like level that thing. And you know, the metering on it was really cool. You could really, really like get in there live. One of my favorite producers, Mocha Only, I think even to this day, he would track stuff out like he'd cut a beat straight to mini disc and then dump them into his thing. So yeah, they were sick. I almost wish I still had one, right?
What's that?
You still have a mini disc, right?
Yeah. I bought another one not that long ago just to go back and listen to a bunch of my old ones. But you can actually go in and you can track on a mini disc. You can like cut out little, cut out like empty space in between songs and seam stuff up really nice. So that's how I did like my first album completely.
Dude, I'm gonna go in this closet and start pulling out all your records. Like,
is that stuff available? Can we link to that, or is it not online?
My very first album that I was just talking about, I do not have that online, but I've thought about it. It's some real sloppy turntablism shit, like Invisible Scratch Pickles, like. As much, I was in love with Invisible Scratch Pickles, and that's everything I did was along that. Yeah, but I go back and listen to it, and I'm like, it was very sloppy, but for what it was very fun.
Part of the journey, you know.
Yeah.
What about Sorry,
now that you're sharing that process, it'll be very interesting to everybody, though, to hear it. Should put it up.
For real.
Yeah. And that was under the DJ Epidemic name when I was going by that.
Yep.
DJ
You remember, so we're listening to, I don't even think I said off the top exactly. This is ID and Sleeper, Displacement, the deluxe edition that you put on Bandcamp. What do you remember about these beats? Making gear.
So this.
Do that again, Sean. There you go.
Displacement came from the Rain Closet album. So Rain Closet was the first thing that me and Isaac did together as a full-length project. And he was going by Vague, had the name Vague at that time. I was still going by Mad Awkward. And he came up with the name Rain Closet. And it was, they were all beats. So for the most part, they were beats that were specifically for that part. And I started shopping it around, like, what we did back when I was in punk band. We would send out tapes to whatever label we thought our music was a good mix with, and I sent one. There were like two labels at that time that I would have loved to been on, and one was Anticon and one was Mush. They were both putting out music that I listened to, and I thought, well, why not? I'll send this CD, Rain Closet, and it wasn't very long. I never heard back from either one, and it wasn't very long after that the Mush Records tour came through Lawrence, and we were asked to open up. It was at the Gaslight, and we had no idea that was kind of a scouting show where they were checking us out and reporting back to the owner of the label, and like, yeah, you should sign this guy. So after we found that out, and then we started talking, and he was like, the owner of Mush was like, we can either like clean this album up, or you can give us a whole new one. And we were like, well, let's just kind of do both and clean it up and then add some songs and take away some songs. So I love the Rain Closet album for what it is. Like, I think it's way more raw than Displacement, but it's a lot of the same songs, some new ones, different versions. We tried to polish it up for like.
And I think I'm going off memory because I don't have the tab open because I'm capturing video for the
Show
YouTube.
that picture again, Sean, would you?
Is that the show?
It was a show slightly before that.
Around,
Yeah, slightly, months.
I think I'm going off memory, but I think that Rain Closet is included in the deluxe version, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So you can hear both. You can hear both on Bandcamp and buy both.
Yeah. As well as demos of those songs, and the first 2 songs that we ever made together about that as well. And remixes. I think there's 1 or 2 remixes.
Man, the cool thing about you two is like a lot of us when we were in this time period, we were gaining a lot of not only inspiration from what we listened to, but that hive of all of us getting together and kind of networking in that sense. And you just periodically, you picked your spots of when you would pop out and when you wouldn't. You were like always kind of the mad scientist out of all of us. Like you were just kind of like, you'd pop up and like, you and I are boys, so I knew where to get a hold of you. But like to everybody else, I'd come and catch you do a show when you felt like it, and then you would like kind of, just disappear and then come back with these works. Yeah. But the thing about it is he was the most accessible out of all of us if you put money on the books to get a tattoo. Because he was working every day.
No, that's what I was
come
about
see
to
him
say,
on
man.
Mass Street.
What's your wait list like now?
I just book quarterly. I don't have a wait list. I just book quarterly, and I take all my submissions, the first of certain months, and I just pick and choose what I want to do.
Heard.
I've been doing this almost 30 years.
That's dope.
What other dude do you know who has years, a career's worth of awards, and he just throws them? Man, humble dude, man. It's like, I don't need any of this. I don't do any of this shit for any of that. I just do what I do, and I'm just that guy. I love it, man. I'm cursing and stuff on here. I mean, this is my guy. I just love this dude. I love these guys. So
this is an open show.
I know.
We're all adults.
I know.
We all heard bad words before, so.
Yeah. You'd be like, we were trying to listen to it with Sean's fucking mouth, man.
So you two met at KU?
Carlos and I, or him and Isaac?
You and Carlos.
Johnny Quest took me over to his house. I was living in Overland Park, and I came up because I would come up all the time to go to Love Garden, and I came up and hooked up with Johnny, and he was like, I want to take you over and meet my boy Carlos. So he took me over to his house, and this is like probably about a year and a half before we all like I moved up to Lawrence. Nez and my other people came in for college. So there was like a year, like 2000, 2001, where we all kind of like converged in the Archetype house and all started hanging out. I met him right about a year before all that happened. I met Nate around the same time too. So it was like, I was taken over to his house. I was like, what's the deal with this guy? I was like, he's a tattoo artist. He can scratch like crazy. And he makes beats on a video game thing. I'm like, what is going on? You know what I mean? And just instantly, I think Carlos and I looked each other in the eyes and we were like, yeah, Sean's a whole lot. I don't talk a lot. Perfect. And Carlos got an age.
John was instrumental very much in a lot of people's
tons
meeting up, and yeah,
he's the hub, man. He's the oracle of all that.
That sounds like a show idea, maybe.
Absolutely. The studio space I'm in right now, he built this. This was his old house. So I recorded in the room that's now the bedroom that my son's sleeping in. I recorded my Ultra Pro album in there. I think everybody in Lawrence hip hop walked through this space. Yeah,
Man,
you know?
that's pretty cool to be able to say.
Yeah,
John and I had a project before all of that.
Yep.
All of that shit. We had a project called Close Encounters.
Close Encounters. That's why he brought me over there.
Yeah. So I met John at that music store he worked at.
Seventh Heaven.
Seventh Heaven.
Yeah.
Yes.
But when there was in Lawrence,
there.
when
We
there's
just
still
started-
one in Lawrence.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Right across from the replay.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I remember that.
I don't remember what I was trying to buy, and we just started talking. And
Paraphernalia in the bag.
Yeah. I'm sure it was some turntablist, album.
Right.
Yeah.
But we started talking. He was like, you play on the tables? I was like, yeah, I play on. He's like, so do I. We should meet up. I was like, cool. And that was the beginning. It was just as simple as that. He probably came over like that night.
Remember those days?
Yeah.
Remember those days where you would meet random strangers and you just like, here's where I live.
Yep.
Come hang out. How great.
Yeah.
And you'd like mess around until like 3-4 in the morning just on some love. That was like, yo, we'll scratch records for the next 6 hours. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Crazy. So much fun. That's similar how I met John. He was DJing at like Gadzooks in Oak Park Mall, and he booked me and Rebel to come in there and do a show. And he was just that dude. He was just always kidding. He was like, let's do it right now.
Yep.
Yeah, I love those drums. Are sick. What's this made with again?
This remix, this was when I was doing a lot of circuit bending, so a lot of strange sounds at that time.
I was wondering when that was going to come up, because this dude used to take toys and circuit bend them and like anything. It's just, what's the deal with this guy? That was
I
like,
became very obsessed with circuit bending. Like
it was so dope. I would go over and you'd be like, look at this, and then I run it through this effects pedal, and I'm like, when did you do this? Like, I was at work all day. I know you were at work all day. Like, when did this happen? You're like, yeah, me and I this song. Used to live right across from Lion. That was when you were going crazy with the circuit bending. You had all the stuff.
Yeah, Isaac. I mean, this remix was recorded. I don't know how long after we recorded the original version of this, and he just came to me and he was like, "Hey, I have a different. I want to do this other version of this song, and with a whole extra verse." And I was like, "Okay, here's some beats. Let's figure out which one will work." This is one of my favorite things he ever did.
And I should point out, this is quote unquote the side B. So it's like 8 through 15. So the next week we'll be listening to 1 through 7.
Oh, dope.
Okay.
That's dope.
Hell yeah. Yeah, I was gonna say Isaac would rap or sing over most anything that I would hand over to him. He would take just about all of it. And the whole Crawl Space album we did together was originally just an instrumental album.
Yep.
And I was like, man, I feel like it needs you on it, you know. So I handed it to him, and he just, I told him, just pick whatever songs you want to rap on or sing on, and there's both of that on there. He picked about half that album.
I mean, that guy, you look at, when we do that 10 Minutes record with Jerett, man, like, you know, that's like him singing, and like, I think he, played a little guitar on that, man, like,
yep.
It's crazy how much he can just,
Yeah. Isaac's the purest artist I've ever met.
Yeah.
He, I have a cheat code of living with him during like a very productive time of his early adulthood. So, the second record he was doing with Carlos, the tail end, I was hanging out with Isaac nonstop when he was writing Displacement, and then I was living with him when he was doing like Avatar Hotel and the last two Archetype albums, and all of the Archetype albums of time in Crawl Space. And just as Nate knows, as Carlos knows, like that guy, like would get off work, get a beer, go out on his porch, wherever porch we are, backyard, and write, read and write, and read and write. Like, we're doing the same thing, but like I don't write like that. You know what I mean? And he just like, he wrote like an author. He just wrote and kept journal. Just nonstop, and it was so inspiring because like, I just sit out there. That's my boy. He would just. It wasn't like he rapped anything to you unless he wanted you to hear it. He just wrote. He wrote thoughts and journal entries and songs, and it was just it quickly showed me, like, I was like, man, I don't work hard enough at this. You know what I mean? Like, he works really, really hard on multiple mediums. So to sing or to just, Carlos isn't making beats right now, I'm gonna start playing guitar. I can play drums. Like, everybody's kind of moving away. I'm gonna work on this stuff because these are the creatives I'm around at the moment. It's just because he always wrote like that. He wrote words to place in any medium that he felt like he needed to express himself. It was beautiful, man.
And how do you... I didn't hardly know him. Our Satellites played a couple shows with Varmacross when he was playing with Varmacross. Yeah. So I said hi to him a couple times, but that's really about it. But so like, was that... Did he approach that more as like a discipline? Like, I've got to, this is my practice, or was it more just like from the gut and this is what I want to do when I get home?
He didn't have a choice, man.
Yeah, it was an obsession.
It was an obsession.
An obsession and an intense desire to create all the fucking time.
Because he drew and painted and like, it was nonstop, and he was like, the other beautiful thing about Isaac is he's kind of like, he's our boy. So, but he's kind of like a grouchy old man about it, so he's like loving, and you were in his circle, but he was guarded. So, and his guarded would just come up, and he was like, he just looked at the world for what it was and was kind of like cynical about shit. But like, you knew part of that was just like, life wasn't easy for him growing up. And so he developed, armor. But like, if you were in, he made you feel like the most important person that ever lived. If he loved you, dude.
Yeah.
Can't say it any better than that. Listeners, we'll be back at you next week with side 1 of ID and Sleeper's Displacement. This has been the Long Play Listening Party. Links to tons of stuffs about Isaac. Jerett's got an amazing tribute video. Lots of links in the description. We'll be back with more next week. And more music then. We'll see you. It's been the Long Play Listening Party.
Right.